Growing up, I used to love fairy tales. I get all dressed up and reenact the stories of fire-breathing dragons, feuding brothers, and ancient wizards. But as you get older, the fairy tales get a little bit scarier. Dragons turn into mortgage approval. Feuding brothers, buyers and sellers. And the ancient wizards, let's just call them realtors. The notion of buying property in this day and age is about as likely as the wildest fairy tale. And the only quest you'll find yourself on is trying to convince your parents to give you a loan for that down payment. Now, all this means that the very idea of owning your own home is about as likely as finding a market made for knights here in Richmond, BC. Speaking of which, where is everybody? I wanted to get a good spot for the jousting.
Stephen, for the last time, it's the night market. N-I-G-H-T. Night.
I mean, next thing you're going to tell me that the dumpling trail isn't a real trail. Wait, it's not? Richmond. For many people, it's their first introduction to the Lower Mainland, home to Vancouver International Airport. But I wanted to figure out who are the people living underneath the flight path, which is why today we've teamed up with Realtor master Vincent Lim to hear about Richmond from a local's point of view. Starting at the iconic Olympic Oval, we'll be heading straight into Richmond Centre before ending our tour in Steveston on the banks of the mighty Fraser. So keep those seatbelts fastened, get your tray tables stowed, because this tour is about to take off. Vincent, thank you very much for coming on this tour with us today. We're in Richmond.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
I was going to say, so you originally grew up here?
I was born here.
Born here?
Yeah, born
Okay.
here. Pretty much grew up here from elementary school to high school in Richmond.
So did you leave after high school?
I left here when I was like 3 years old.
Oh.
Moved to Asia for about 7 years.
Oh, we have a lot to cover today.
and then came back near the end of grade 6.
But you've obviously traveled, you've obviously experienced life,
Yeah.
but yet you chose to stay here as well.
I did. And I moved to Vancouver for a little bit, but now I do have a family. I moved my family into Richmond. Back, yeah.
How would you break down Richmond and the communities here?
I'll break it down to 3 parts. You have basically the community that's near Vancouver, that's right by the airport, and you have the central Richmond hub, and you have the going down south, you have basically the water by the harbor part.
This is so cool. All right, Vincent, I have loved driving around with you, but let's check out this oval neighborhood.
Amazing, let's do it.
Vince, you were not lying. This place is a hive of activity.
It's pretty impressive, right? This is the sports center of like Richmond. It's like a hub. And the best part is because of this area, it's because of waterfront and you're surrounded by luxury condos. It is the Coal Harbor of Richmond.
Wow.
If you're living here in the Olympic Oval village here, is basically you get to enjoy like obviously luxury amenities and lifestyle, but yet you're only like 50 minutes walk away to the Lansdowne SkyTrain station. 20 minutes to central Richmond, Richmond Center. So you're walking distance to everything.
I've heard some stories about some developers in Richmond who came and didn't finish their projects. What kind of security is there for home seekers out here now?
There's a lot of big developers, in Richmond that makes Richmond strong and that they will complete their projects. So you have to go with the developer, especially nowadays days, if you're going with an ABC development company, most likely it would not complete, even though the prices are good, but your deposit is at risk.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things, Vince, that always interests me is we're by the river.
Yes.
We're wedged between 2 bridges.
Yeah.
Geography is limiting how this place can actually develop. What is exciting about this development in the year to come, in your opinion?
It's really the convenience of what it's offering to Richmond. So this hub here, as you see in the Oval, is not just offering, as I said, it's not offering just to the residents here. But people are coming from closer to, like, let's just say, in South Cambie, near Vancouver by the bridge. They're all coming into Richmond using these facilities because this is the state of the art that Richmond has to offer.
Is somewhere like here a good place for first-time buyers?
I wouldn't say so.
You wouldn't say so. Why not?
if you're a first-time buyer, you want convenience, you want location, but yet you still want to, live that lifestyle of enjoying all the amenities, it will be in central Richmond.
Okay, a little bit cheaper?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
So
Yeah.
people are coming out this direction.
Yeah.
They're getting these homes, sometimes investment properties.
Yeah.
But if you want to go a little bit further and find that first home for you from downtown, central Richmond might be the place to go.
Absolutely, because you have options.
So where are you going to take me next?
We're going to go to central Richmond.
Okay, this is the place that you said you might be able to get me a home in as a first-time buyer?
Hopefully so.
Vincent wasn't wrong when he spoke about the Cole Harbour vibe around the Richmond Olympic Oval, which made sense, because the same company who built up that section of downtown Vancouver are the ones developing this area as well, meaning that this place ain't some cheap knockoff.
What was your decision to move back to Richmond and choose the location that you chose?
Do you want the real answer?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well,
Realtor.
I think it's for me to move my family back of getting size is affordability.
Yeah, okay.
Affordability. That's one of the main driver, but at the end, it's close to family. All my family's here in Richmond.
Okay, you mentioned the airport. Is it as loud as it seems if you live in Richmond?
It all depends which part of Richmond. If you're living around the Bridgeport area, you're gonna hear a lot more noises.
Okay.
West Canby, they moved the flight path a little bit, so it's not as loud, but you still hear it. Yeah, but if you're going down to the west of Richmond, you barely hear any.
Unfortunately, as Vince said, the Oval may not be my home as a first-time buyer right now. So I was very excited at the prospect of finding a community that I could realistically live in today.
I could not get over how many cranes I saw when we were driving in. Obviously, there's a bright future ahead for Richmond.
Yes, that's probably the up-and-coming newest development for Richmond Centre.
Are we seeing then a lot of people entering Richmond Centre through pre-sale at the moment?
Absolutely. Right now, I would say pretty much sold out for the majority of the 1-beds and 2-beds in that project for their current phase. They do have a new phase that's coming up in the next, I think maybe a year or two. It was definitely a project that a lot of people were getting into because of convenience.
Right.
Because you're central hub, you're in the Richmond Centre.
And right by this, you have
Yeah.
facilities just on your doorstep.
Yeah.
What is it then about Richmond Centre that is attracting so many people here?
You pretty much have everything. You have a ton of restaurants nearby. You can walking distance to grocery stores. Most important thing is school catchments. In Central Richmond, you have really good school catchment, IB programs in Richmond Secondary. Those are all the things that a family or starting a family, that's what you want. You want to raise your kids in.
Back at the Oval, you said Richmond Centre might be the place for me to go as a first-time buyer.
Yes.
You think it's true that this is a good place to be a first-time buyer?
Yes, just because my goal is always you buying a property, but I also want you to make money. Not
Yeah.
just not just
I like
getting
that
you
goal.
not just getting you into a property. So I'll give you an example. Buying a 1-bedroom condo. Stephen, eventually that's not going to be your forever home. You probably would want to upgrade to maybe something larger. But you want to have the option to keep your 1-bedroom, and you want to be a place where, first of all, your equity grows, and second of all, it's easy to rent out. You're getting good rental income, so you have that option. If you want to sell, great, easy property that you can offload, get your cash out. But you're like, hey, Vince, I want to keep my property, good cash flow coming in as well.
You think there's value to buying property now over pre-sale at the current market?
I won't say current market, just depending on your current situation.
Okay,
Current situation. Because pre-sale, you're buying for future value. Yeah, you're buying for future value. But if you can buy now, let's just say, for example, buy 1 or 2-bedroom condo, you can move in now. You are putting your money right away, and you're letting your equity grow, and you get to move in. Right?
I like the sound of all this. Get the contracts. Please.
Yeah, but pre-sale, you're putting it in. But what happens if life changes? Let's just say you need to move somewhere else. You can't offload your assignment. Those things. So there's risk, there's pros and cons. But the good part is, like, let's just say you don't need to move in now, but you want to put your money into somewhere else, and you have the intention. The keyword's intention on completing it to move in. Then you're like, now we're talking. Now you have to be like, hey, we're setting you to the right path. Not like, hey, Vince, which is a good investment, but I have no intention of completing it. I don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
I would be like, I don't know if pre-sale's right for you. That's too much risk on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Central Richmond, great for investors, potential first-time buyers, and downsizers.
Yes.
It really seems like a community that kind of has it all. I'm just curious to see this quaint little town of Steveston that you've been talking about all day.
huge difference. Again, different lifestyle, but that's also another community on its own. And I'm very, very excited to show you around there.
All right, well, let's not wait anymore, man. I need to check this out.
Looking out at the athletic track reminded me of the same track that I used to run on in my own town. A place for the community to congregate and bond. Something that you don't tend to see as much of living in downtown Vancouver. And up until now, I don't think I realised how much I actually missed it.
What prompted you to make the move from financial industry to real estate? Or is there similarities that you saw?
This was something that, it kind of piqued my interest. And I kind of wanted to try something else. I was 7 years in the banking industry, and I didn't want to, another 10 years pass by climbing the corporate ladder and living a life with regret of like, hey, you know what, maybe I should have tried something else. Right. So
you weren't ready to like raise the place to the ground. You were like, no, this is fine. And then something else, you're like, that's it. That's where I want to check out.
Real estate was the only thing that came up. There was no other option plan B. Be like, hey, I could have done this, I could have done this. I'm tired of my job. I didn't have that thought. Yeah. It was just that real estate came up. And I'm like, you know what? I think I should go out and do something else.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie here. Before we started filming this episode, I had no idea that Steveston was even a part of Richmond. Not only that, but it's a village influenced by Japanese fishermen who landed here pre-World War II. I mean, this village is steeped in history and culture, and I, for one, am very excited to hear what Vince has to say about it.
Vince, I never knew that Steveston was actually a part of Richmond.
Yeah, so it's more of a hidden gem in the city. Like, I think a lot of people heard of Steveston. Again, that's kind of like the problem. They're like, oh, Steveston's in Richmond?
So how does somewhere like Steveston differ from Richmond Centre, where we just were?
We are in the heart of Steveston Village, right? When they use the word village, it really feels like a small town, right? Small town. So this is the Fisherman's Wharf here. You're gonna get like diversification of everything. You got the waterfront, you got seafood, but you want that Asian food. There is something for everybody here. So I think the biggest difference, honestly, is the lifestyle. It's a lot more quiet here. Yeah, smaller community than your hustle and bustle, Queens Central Richmond.
We're talking about diversification.
Yeah.
What is the difference in terms of the houses or properties you can get here over everything else we've seen today?
So here, we're gonna get condos, low-rise condos. You're gonna get really popular in Steveston is townhouses. Right. Yeah, and you got, of course, the single-family homes. Really something for everybody in this community.
Vince, rumor has it that you yourself live in Steveston, and I'm curious what made you choose here.
As you can see, it doesn't even feel like Richmond, but you're in Richmond of the convenience of everything is close by. But one main thing is you're by the water. It's quiet. You got a really small community. And the place where I live, all the neighbors, we all know each other. Especially I have a family, it's a great place to raise your family. So it was definitely a no-brainer for me.
All right, so family values, evident in Richmond.
Yeah.
Beautiful scenery, and all the accessibility and benefits of being close to Richmond Town Centre.
Yes.
No-brainer.
Yeah, and you're walking distance to all sorts of food around this area.
I'm really curious, though, to see back in one of the properties that we talked about earlier in River Green and see what that old master plan is about.
Let's go take a look at that.
Let's go take a look.
This is not just a master plan community, it's Richmond's most luxurious master plan community that we're seeing here. I feel like master plan community is being thrown very loosely these days, but what really is a master plan community? It's, sure, 3, 4, 5 buildings connected together, be cohesive about the whole project. But the more important is the location, the convenience, and providing great, phenomenal amenities to the residents.
What phase of a master plan are we seeing here in front of us?
So right now you've seen a 1 River Green, 2 River Green, Holly Bridge being built out, but that's only 50% of a 20-year plan. So they're building, Aspect is building all the way down to the west side of it, all around the waterfront. So this makes this whole community very, very unique. This was one missing piece in Richmond before. Before the Olympics came, sure, it grew the area, but it was missing this luxury piece that we're trying to build in Richmond.
This is a new thing you've seen over your time.
I would say the last 10 years, because if you're looking at other buildings in Richmond, there's nothing compared to what's in this area.
Vince, you said that this is the coal harbour of Richmond.
Yes.
Are we seeing people migrate from Vancouver to here then?
Well, I have clients that have, because they're wanting the same type of quality of what they are offering at Cole Harbor, and they're used to the lifestyle. So you're getting the waterfront, you're getting the finishes, you're getting that, nice, like massive lobby with the concierge service. That's what I feel like that's really unique.
Dare I say,
Yeah.
Cole Harbour elevated.
I would say so.
Vince, thank you so much for all your time today. This tour has been fascinating. Seeing these master build projects and how communities have long-term plans. They're not just a la carte popping up here and there. It's really reassuring to see the future of what Richmond has to offer. I just want to go for one last walk along the boardwalk.
Let's do that.
Let's check it out.
Richmond, you have surprised me immensely. Usually, the only reason I make my way out here is to take my car to the mechanic, ignorant to the life and vibe that this community and its many neighbourhoods have to offer. From the luxury recreational developments at the Richmond Olympic Oval, to the water lapping against the fishing boats in Steveston, Richmond really does have it all. And what better way to view this community than with Vincent, a generous and kind family man who has lived around the world but chose Richmond to call his home. It was so cool to hear his take on real estate and his own journey to get to where he is today. I know that when the time comes to make the leap into the Richmond market, I can rest soundly, knowing that I now have Vince's number on speed dial.